Hello, everybody. I hope you're well. Now, this is the second part of the interview I did with the legendary Robert Mustard Shihan, and in it we talk about the idea of grade inflation. So that is people that have been promoted to a senior rank that, let's just say, a lot of other people think is above their pay grade. Now, this is very, very controversial. Of course, it happens in all martial arts, not just in Aikido, but it's very, very interesting to get the point of view from one of the most senior practitioners in Aikido on the planet. Now, as always, Robert Shihan is very upfront and forthright, and I suspect there might be a few people get a bit upset about this. Let's keep this civil, please. If you want to comment on this, please do so below. All the usual stuff. If this has been useful, smash the like button, and I hope you enjoy this. Thanks for watching. So, if you could wave a magic wand over the future of Aikido, and we can go into more detail on some of the other aspects of this, but what would you like to see? How should we put it? Not change, but evolve. Because I think,
I would like to see, I would like to see people, and again, there's different forms of Aikido, but I would like to see people doing what I call like almost the physics of the martial arts. Because I don't, because Aikido is, it's not a sport. So there are some things, in boxing, if you hit the person, you get 1 point. In amateur boxing, you get 1 point. If you hit them and knock them down, you get 1 point. So it doesn't really matter if you hit hard. But in martial arts, I think it's important that there has to be the respect for that kind of martial attitude, where it came from, where it was a kind of fighting art, and the mechanics. You can't, for example, you can't throw someone moving backwards, right? So if I throw you forward and I move back a half a foot, I'm not throwing you. So and so we have to be really careful that it's not all just form. There has to be a little bit of substance to it. And at a certain level, and this is what I believe, if you see, for me, if someone said to me, how can you tell if someone is really high level? I would say that if they have a training session, if they have a partner who's a fifth dan, and then they have a partner who's a shodan, and then they have a partner who's maybe been training for 1 year, and then they have a partner who is the first day in the dojo, but they look the same, throwing all of them. That's the sign of someone who's very high level, right? Because if they can control someone who doesn't know how to receive the technique and control them and not hurt them, then you're gone to a whole different level, right? And so it doesn't mean you have to throw. What I believe, you don't have to kill people to throw them. You don't have to, every throw doesn't have to knock them out and this and that, but each throw should be full of intent and martial vigor and proper movements from both people. That's what I would like to see it evolve.
Right. Absolutely.
And become, if you really want to become strong at Aikido, you have to become a good uke. That's the real truth. I think the real truth to becoming strong. And there's a reason why the top teachers use the top ukes. Right? Because it happens so fast, and it's usually, it's a demonstration. And you've probably seen this yourself. People who are in kickboxing or this or that will say, well, no one would do that. And yeah, but it's a demonstration. If that makes sense.
No. Not picking on anyone in particular, but our probably the most famous Aikido person on the planet who has probably done more to popularize Aikido and then since then depopularize it, if that's a word. Whenever you see him doing demonstrations, it's always with ukes that are half his size. All they ever do is try and grab his shoulders, and the minute he touches them, they fly. And his ukes are always superb. And it's completely non-representative of an actual martial situation, but it looks great. And no one ever tries to punch him in the face or kick him in the balls, But as you say, it's a demonstration, and to a certain extent, I think you have to accept that. It is. I still think it's slightly misleading in a way. One of the things I always admire is when you go to a big seminar and there are senior people from maybe a number of different styles or a number of different organizations, and someone will get up and they'll just ask for an uke. They'll pick anyone, or they'll pick the biggest person they can find to show the mechanics of what. I'm personally more impressed by that kind of thing than someone with an uke that they've worked with, that knows what's going on, that can fly. And
I try to, I mean, you know, if at a certain point, if you're trying to demonstrate something, yes, the timing, for example, the timing of just ducking out of the way when someone's striking really hard, you need to have the confidence that someone, number one's going to strike hard, number two, they can move quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
And like I said, when you take uke, I took uke for the top Yoshinkan teachers in Japan. And basically, when they're walking out to do a demonstration and you're walking behind them, you have no idea what they're going to call for. They just say punch, right? You're kind of hoping they don't say punch, especially with Takino Sensei. You're kind of hoping he didn't say punch, but every time he said to me, he said punch. Like, oh man! But you do it, and you only have that much time to react.
Yeah.
Right. And the truth is, if you don't do that, then you're kind of going to get hurt. And if it makes you feel better, hopefully, when I tried to do seminars, I tried to get my hands on everyone. For everyone. But the difference too is, Duncan, is people sometimes ego gets in the way, and I don't care if my technique doesn't work. I will be honest, usually it does. I think I have a little bit of a high level. So usually it works. But the part that sometimes people don't understand is you have to react the correct way when I'm doing a technique. For example, in Yoshinkan Aikido, for the basic syllabus, we say ichi techniques and ni techniques. And ichi means the opponent is grabbing and pulling, or we strike and move forward, so the energy goes forward.
Mm-hmm.
Ni techniques, like you said, involve the tenkan. The opponent grabs and pushes or strike, the energy is coming towards us, so we turn.
That's interesting.
And the truth is, and this is only for the basic techniques, right? And the truth is, I think mostly all techniques will be, like you said, I agree, are going to involve turning, because the energy comes towards you. You either outside or inside. But we have to have some way that we can practice to get our body power moving forward. So we let the person grab. Because the idea also for combatives, if you were in a tense situation where you think things are going to kick off, would you let anyone grab you? No, of course not. But we have to have a way to practice so we can learn to blend and move with that energy and learn to feel that energy.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, it doesn't really matter. And it's just like I've done seminars. I did a seminar. It was quite interesting. I don't know if you ever had this experience. And I said to a guy, and I said, well, and he had a black dogi on, so I knew he was a bit different. And also, I know all the Yoshinkan people in England. I knew he wasn't one of them. And I went to him and I said, welcome, thanks for coming to the seminar. I really appreciate it. My name's Rob. Anything I can do to help, I'll try to help. If you have any questions, please, I love them, just ask me. And I said, if you don't mind my asking, what form of Aikido have you practiced? And he said, oh, I do traditional Aikido. And I thought, well, that's great. I guess I do untraditional Aikido. I mean, what the hell is traditional Aikido? It's all traditional Aikido. It comes from Japan. That's the tradition. So I said to someone, come here. And I said, if I take his arm and I put down like that, what do you say? He said, well, we call it Ikkyo. I said, well, then you do Aikigai. He said, no, we don't do Aikigai. We don't do Aikigai. Okay. All right. Well, who is your teacher? Blah, blah, blah. Who is your teacher's teacher? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's Aikigai. But I wasn't going to argue with the guy. But what I'm getting at here is for the proper training. Like if I grab your wrist and I push, you can move inside or you can move outside.
Yep. But
if I grab your hand and I push and you move and I let go, I don't have any more attack anymore. You should just punch me, I believe, or hit me or whatever. But
I agree with you entirely.
But you can't do that to people who are guests in your seminar or whatever. Or someone will push and then when you go to move, they stop pushing. So there's no threat.
Yeah. But see, your everything you've said is based upon common sense, technical understanding, if you like.
Yeah.
So this brings me on to another thing then. Do you think that we are seeing, well, I think it's been going on for at least a decade, maybe 20 years. Do you think we are seeing a dilution of technical ability at the top and
Absolutely.
an inflation of grades. Do you think there's?
I'm gonna get yelled at for saying that, but the truth is absolutely. And I'm a bit of a hard ass about that, Duncan. And someone else at the seminar said, someone put up their hand and said, "How to become seventh dan?" And I said, "Don't die." And the truth is, if you don't die, if you stay on the mats, and if you're kind of depending on the organization, you just have, sometimes it seems now in martial arts, especially Aikido, all you have to do is have a pulse and pay. And I'm a real hard ass about that, because when I meet someone, I say, "How do you do?" And they say, "Hi, my name is Joe Blow. I've been training for 30 years. My first reaction is, "I don't care, Duncan," because this sounds terrible. I won't name names, but do you know how many people I know that have been training for 35 years, 30 or 35 years, and they're terrible? And I feel almost bad. I almost feel bad saying that, because, sometimes I have some really good friends that they say, whenever I say, "Yeah, he's a nice guy," then my next word is, "His Aikido is rubbish." But there are some people there who aren't very nice, and their Aikido is rubbish anyways. But that's the truth, and the truth is, if the organization or the people aren't so scrupulous, or if they're unscrupulous, doesn't matter. And then it comes downhill. Well, when you become fifth dan, you can grade to Sandan. So you just have to promote 4 or 5 people to Sandan, and then you've paid for your fifth dan, and you've made some money. And that's, but and depending on, if the dojo, I lost 2 of my senior black belts because I wouldn't promote them over my student Farshad. So they quit, and I said, "You're not training enough." They said, "Well, I'd like to train, but I'm working." I said, "Yeah, everyone's working. Aikido should enhance your life."
Yeah.
And if you're not doing the required work, it's okay. But if other people are, so what happens in some dojos, and you've seen this, Duncan, I'm sure, is you get some young gung-ho kid who's training all the time, and they make him shodan. He's still training all the time. He's there every class. He's there to uke in demonstrations. He's there. But sometimes, I don't want to make him nidan until I make the guy who's already nidan sandan. But the guy who's nidan going for sandan, he's only training twice a week, maybe, because he's got a family and a kid. And then, then I can't make him sandan until I make the guy who's sandan make him yondan, because then we keep the status quo in the dojo, and senpai is senpai, and this and that. And that really contributes. What I saw, for example, for me in North America, that's been a big contribution to people, who I've been training Aikido for 10 years, but when they do a technique, their shoulders are really high. They move their front foot when they pivot, their back is bent. And it sounds bad, but, and I think I've talked about this with some people when we're talking, just because you do boxercise for 6 months or a year, or you do Taibo for a year, doesn't mean you can go into a ring or go into, if you did that and you went into a ring with an experienced person, they would probably kill you.
Yeah. So you think a lot of, it sounds like you're saying that some of the ranking issues, should we call it, are because of social and kind of cultural things. I'm going to say
the truth is, sometimes it's money. If an organization needs money and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Right. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but for example, if this story, I use this story a lot because it really resonated with me.
The Shihan,
right? And what does Shihan mean? Well, I asked everyone, they just said it means master teacher, whatever, this and that. And the dojo in Yoshinkan, the humble dojo, the dojo accountant really liked me. Don't know why, but he always talked to me. He liked me. He called me over and said, "When you become a Shihan, it means your technique and character are indicative of the style." And I thought that was the perfect answer for me. And then I thought, but there's a little bit of pressure there, because if you take that to heart, right? It means you shouldn't be a dickhead if you're a Shihan. But the truth is, now in the Yoshinkan, all you have to do is just send your money in. right? I mean, I don't care about the rank so much, but you would almost think if someone's going to go for a high level rank in North America, or especially even Canada, you think maybe the Hombu Dojo would say, well, Robert, you're an 8th Dan, do you know this guy? And they, you know, if you get a rank request from a teacher, I don't think you should question that teacher, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So,
right? I mean, if I sent an application to Japan to say I want this person to be Sandan, they shouldn't say to me, "Wow, is he any good?" Or they should just trust me that I'm going to try to do the best I can.
Yeah.
Which sometimes can be also dangerous.
Right.
Right. And like I said, if someone's just unscrupulous, they can just give ranks and get the money. I've heard of that many times too. Not just in Aikido, I've heard that in other martial arts.
Yeah. So
right?
I believe when we talked before, you said that you were told that the Shihan certificates that were issued have a number on them, and that yours was number 34 or something. Yeah,
mine was number 34, and the teacher that basically gave it to me let me know that his was number 13. So he's kind of telling me that I'm a junior.
10 years later, it was like number 100 or something.
91.
So that's 60.
So 57. 57 Shihans in 10 years.
So that's two. Basically, one Shihan has been awarded every couple of months.
Yeah, I don't get it.
It seems astonishing that there can possibly be that many people.
Well, maybe Yoshinkan is doing unprecedented growth. I'm not sure. But the truth is, all you have to do is send your money in, Duncan. It's right on the Yoshinkan website. Send in your money, and then we'll get the Shihan license. It's probably not.
How is it? I mean, I'm not picking on Yoshinkan, but it's obviously something you have firsthand. How is it? What's the regulatory and compliance aspect of it, if you like, using business terms? How do they check people?
There isn't one. I don't know. There isn't one that I've seen. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I think I told you last time we talked, when my group split away from the UK, when I emigrated over here to New Zealand, we just carried on doing our thing, and we've put together quite a nice little international organisation now ourselves, and we've got clubs from different martial arts styles all training and swapping ideas, which is lovely. But we got approached by an Aikikai linked group who basically said that if we paid for their representative to come over, which wasn't cheap because it was a business class flight and we had to accommodate them and everything else, they would then check everybody. We would all have to de-rank to first queue. This would include some of my students who have been training for 20 years now. I started as a kid in 74.
Yeah.
And they wanted all to go back to first queue, and then basically it was almost like a menu. The first Dan was $225, second Dan was $350, fourth Dan was, and for me to get whatever it was, sixth Dan or whatever, I would have had to have purchased consecutive. So I couldn't just. Yeah. It was a. Yeah. I mean,
that's why they drive Mercedes. That's why.
Yeah, and
it's.
And then they seemed quite surprised when I said, "Why on earth would we want to do that?"
Yeah.
I mean, who is this person you're sending over? Why should we've got no? It's like getting a driving license from someone that you don't even know can drive. It just seemed bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, but the truth is, if it's an organization and it's Japanese, sometimes we just say, well, it's okay, Japanese, it's got to be that way. And I sometimes I'm a Yoshinkan guy through and through, and a lot of people have said I should just be doing my own thing, what I want to do. And I said, well, I feel bad, I feel guilty, but I'm a Yoshinkan. But the truth is, my fifth degree diploma is handwritten by Gozo Shoda. Because I did my fifth Dan test in front of him.
Yeah.
Right. And in those days, that was a really big deal. In the old days, the Yoshinkan Hombu Dojo, if you got fifth Dan, you were a big shot.
Yeah.
I wasn't because I was white, but and that's fine. That's fair enough. And even I think we told, my wife would sometimes say, "Why do you put up with all the crap? They treat you like rubbish. They're just really shitty." And I said, "Well, because I'm always representing Yoshinkan Aikido in Canada, and my first teacher, who Kimeta Sensei, who was like my father and still is. We butt heads a little bit. Don't get me wrong." And he tells everyone that he thinks I'm absolutely one of the best Aikido people on the planet, but he never says that to me. All he does is yell at me, tell me what to do. So, which is the same for Jotambu Shihan too. But I can accept that. But the truth is, yeah, just because they're Japanese, we think they're great. And the truth is, there's lots of Western Aikido people that are miles ahead of all the Japanese people, miles ahead. And